And so, my dear friend, let this truth settle deeply into your being. You were never born to struggle endlessly against life, never meant to crawl through existence believing that power belonged to luck, circumstance, governments, economies, or the opinions of other people. The power has always been within you. It has always rested quietly behind every thought you think, every assumption you accept, every feeling you persist in. The world has only ever echoed back the state you occupy in consciousness. This is the great secret hidden in plain sight. Life does not happen randomly. It unfolds according to the identity you inwardly consent to being. If you truly understand what has been said here, then you will stop worshipping appearances. You will stop trembling before facts, conditions, delays, and temporary disappointments. You will realize that circumstances are not permanent truths. They are only the lingering shadows of former assumptions. And shadows have no power of their own. They cannot resist the light of a new state once you fully enter it. The moment you accept a new conception of yourself, the world begins rearranging itself around that acceptance. Not someday, not after endless effort. The movement begins instantly in the unseen dimensions of reality. This is why the wise man becomes still. He no longer fights the mirror. He changes the face reflected within it. He no longer begs life to improve. He assumes improvement is already accomplished. He no longer asks whether abundance, success, love, or opportunity are possible. He knows they already exist as finished states waiting to be occupied. Creation is complete. Every version of you already exists now. The fearful version exists. The fortunate version exists. The wealthy version exists. The chosen version exists. The fulfilled version exists. Your task is not to force these states into being, but simply to select one and remain faithful to it. If you desire abundance, then stop identifying with lack. If you desire freedom, stop rehearsing bondage. If you desire victory, stop telling the story of defeat. You cannot continuously affirm limitation and expect expansion to appear. The law is impersonal and perfectly obedient. It gives form to whatever consciousness consistently claims as true. Therefore, choose wisely what you declare within yourself each day. Do not become discouraged if the outer world appears unchanged for a time. Seeds grow in darkness long before they break through the surface. The unseen always precedes the seen. Your responsibility is not to manipulate the bridge of events. Your responsibility is to remain loyal to the end already accepted in imagination. The bridge will appear naturally. Doors will open in ways you could never have predicted. People will arrive. Opportunities will unfold. Sudden ideas, coincidences, and unexpected turns will carry you toward the fulfillment of your assumption. What seems accidental to others will, to you, reveal itself as law. Remember this always. The feeling of naturalness is the sign that you have entered the state. Not strain, not desperation, not obsessive repetition, but calm certainty, quiet knowing, inner relief. The man who truly knows he is blessed does not constantly seek proof. He rests in the conviction of it. He walks differently, speaks differently, thinks differently. Even his silence carries authority because he has accepted a new identity. So from this moment forward, refuse to identify with fear, delay, failure, or limitation. Refuse to keep resurrecting the old story. The old self has no life except the life you continue to feed it with attention. Let it die. Step fully into the new man, the new woman, the one who already possesses the desired reality inwardly. Persist there faithfully, and as surely as night follows day, the outer world will conform. You are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that power individualized. Your imagination is not fantasy. It is the divine instrument through which reality is shaped. What you dare to assume inwardly with faith, feeling, and persistence must eventually become visible fact. This is the law, immutable, eternal, perfectly reliable. So be still now. Release the struggle. Stop chasing and begin assuming. Walk through this world as one already blessed, already chosen, already abundant, already victorious. Carry the feeling of fulfillment like a sacred flame within your heart. Protect it from doubt. Nourish it with faith. Return to it whenever appearances try to persuade you otherwise. And in time you will look upon your life with awe. You will realize that what once seemed impossible was only waiting for your acceptance. You will see that the world was never against you. It was only mirroring you. And when you finally changed within, everything outside began to change as well. For truly, my dear friend, the kingdom of heaven was never somewhere beyond you. It was always within you, waiting for you to remember who you are. And so, my dear friend, if you truly understand what has been revealed here, you will never again look upon life as a series of accidents, random events, or cruel uncertainties. You will begin to see that every outer experience is nothing more than the visible expression of an invisible state occupied within consciousness. The world is not deciding your fate. It is displaying your assumptions. Life is not withholding from you, it is mirroring you. And the moment you grasp this fully, the struggle begins to dissolve. The Sabbath, as I have told you, is not merely rest of the body, it is the sacred stillness that follows inner acceptance. It is the moment when desire ceases to feel distant because you have psychologically entered possession of it. This is the great mystery so few understand. Most people continue striving because they have never truly assumed the end. They say they believe, yet inwardly they continue searching, doubting, checking for signs, measuring appearances, and asking when it will happen. But the one who has entered the Sabbath no longer asks when. They rest because within themselves it is already accomplished. This is why true manifestation feels less like effort and more like surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to certainty. You stop forcing the river because you realize the current is already carrying you toward fulfillment. You stop trembling before appearances because you understand appearances are delayed echoes of former assumptions. The outer world is always late. Consciousness is always first. Therefore, the wise person does not react to temporary conditions. They remain faithful to the unseen reality they have accepted inwardly. Understand this deeply. The bridge of incidents will unfold without your conscious management. That is the beauty of the law. Once the state is accepted, life itself begins arranging the means. People will move into position. Doors will open and close. Events will appear random to the rational mind. Yet every step is part of the invisible bridge leading you toward the fulfillment of your assumption. You may believe your abundance must come through one channel, but the infinite mind has countless avenues unknown to you. What matters is not the method. What matters is the state you occupy. The person who truly feels wealthy inwardly cannot remain trapped in poverty forever. The one who genuinely assumes themselves loved cannot continue experiencing abandonment indefinitely. The one who inwardly claims success cannot permanently live in failure. Why? Because the law is faithful. It reflects the dominant state with mathematical precision, not sometimes, always. So stop worshipping circumstances, stop giving power to odds, statistics, conditions, or probabilities. Those belong to the old man, the version of self that believes life happens externally. But the awakened one understands that consciousness creates reality. The outer world has no independent intelligence of its own. It simply responds, it mirrors, it obeys. If you desire abundance, then inwardly become the one to whom abundance feels natural. If you desire victory, become inwardly victorious now. Do not wait for evidence before accepting the identity. Evidence follows identity. Manifestation follows assumption. The outer confirmation is always the final step, never the first. And perhaps this is the greatest freedom of all. You no longer need to control every detail of life. You no longer need to exhaust yourself trying to manipulate outcomes. You need only remain loyal to the state, return to it daily, nourish it quietly, protect it from fear and contradiction. When doubt appears, do not fight it violently. Simply return again to the feeling of fulfillment. Return to the knowing that it is already done. For the law does not respond to occasional emotion. It responds to sustained identity. What you consistently feel yourself to be eventually crystallizes into fact. That is why persistence is essential. Not forced repetition, but faithful occupancy of the chosen state. You remain there until it feels natural, until it becomes more familiar than the old story you once carried. Then one day, seemingly without warning, the outer world shifts. The phone call arrives, the opportunity appears, the money comes, the relationship transforms, the impossible becomes ordinary, and people will call it coincidence, luck, or chance. But you will know the truth. You will know it began long before in the invisible chambers of consciousness when you dared to assume differently. So let this be your understanding moving forward. Wealth is a state, success is a state, love is a state, freedom is a state, winning is a state. They are not distant achievements reserved for a chosen few. They are realities available to anyone willing to occupy them inwardly. Therefore, choose your state carefully, choose deliberately, and once chosen, remain faithful to it regardless of appearances. Walk through this world with the calm assurance that your imagination is the creative power of God individualized within you. Carry yourself as one already blessed, already favored, already fulfilled. For in truth, my dear friend, you are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to change states, and the moment you do, the entire world must rise to meet the new you. And so, my dear friend, when you finally awaken to this truth, something extraordinary begins to happen within you. The fear that once governed your decisions starts to dissolve. The constant need to control every outcome begins to fade. The anxiety of wondering whether life will work in your favor loses its grip because you realize that life has never operated independently of your own consciousness. It has always reflected you. Every condition, every circumstance, every experience has been the outpicturing of an inner state entertained, accepted, and sustained within. This realization is not meant to burden you. It is meant to liberate you. For if consciousness created the old conditions, then consciousness can create new ones. Nothing is permanently fixed except the law itself. And the law is simple. What you consistently assume yourself to be, you become. What you persistently feel is true hardens into fact. There is no exception. There never has been. The old man spends his life reacting to appearances. He rises and falls with every piece of news, every number, every delay, every opinion of others. He believes the outer world possesses authority over him. He believes he must wait for conditions to improve before he can feel secure, abundant, or fulfilled. But the new man understands something entirely different. He knows the outer world is only a mirror, and no mirror has power over the face standing before it. The mirror cannot initiate, it can only reflect. Therefore, the awakened one no longer fights circumstances directly. He changes self. He changes the concept he holds of himself. He withdraws attention from the old state and nourishes the new one until it becomes natural. This is why attention is so important. Whatever you repeatedly return to in consciousness receives life. Whatever you emotionally identify with grows stronger. If you continually revisit fear, fear deepens its roots. If you continually revisit fulfillment, fulfillment begins to occupy your reality. You are not separate from the creative force of existence. You are individualized consciousness expressing itself through human form. The same power that spins galaxies, moves oceans, and sustains worlds operates through your imagination. And imagination is not fantasy, it is the workshop of creation itself. Every invention, every relationship, every fortune, every transformation first existed as an unseen assumption before it became visible fact. That is why you must become careful with what you agree with inwardly. Every time you say, "I never succeed," you are issuing a command to the subconscious. Every time you declare, "Life always supports me," you are also issuing a command. The subconscious accepts both equally because it does not judge. It simply receives impressions and externalizes them faithfully. It gives form to the dominant feeling you sustain. So if you would experience abundance, begin inwardly living as one who is already secure. If you would experience love, inwardly become the one who is already cherished. If you would experience unexpected blessings, identify as one to whom life naturally brings favor. Not forcefully, not desperately, quietly, naturally, calmly. The deepest manifestations arise not from strain, but from acceptance. This is why sleep is sacred. As the world grows quiet and the conscious mind relaxes, the door to the subconscious opens wider. What you impress upon yourself in those moments sinks deeply into being. Therefore, fall asleep not in worry, but in fulfillment. Let your final feeling at night be one of gratitude, relief, and quiet certainty. Carry into sleep the conviction that your desire is already accomplished, then release it completely. Trust the unseen movement already taking place. For the bridge of incidents is always forming beneath your feet the moment the assumption is accepted. Events will unfold naturally. You will be led without realizing you are being led. Chance meetings, sudden opportunities, impulses, delays, and unexpected turns will all play their role. And later, when you look back, you will see that every step was perfectly arranged. What seemed accidental was actually ordered by consciousness itself. The mind that constantly asks how remains trapped in limitation because it still believes in secondary causes. But consciousness requires no explanation. It simply expresses itself. The seed does not ask how it will become a tree. It contains the pattern already. Likewise, your assumption contains within itself every necessary condition for fulfillment. Your task is not to figure out the path. Your task is to remain faithful to the end. And faith, my dear friend, is not emotional excitement. It is inner loyalty. It is remaining true to what you have accepted inwardly even when appearances momentarily deny it. It is standing firm when the outer world tempts you to return to the old story. It is quietly persisting in the feeling of fulfillment until fulfillment becomes fact. So from this moment forward, stop identifying with limitation. Stop rehearsing defeat. Stop animating the old man with attention and emotion. Let him fade through neglect. Instead, put on the new man deliberately. The one who knows life responds to him. The one who expects favor. The one who walks in quiet assurance. The one who understands that the world is not happening to him, but through him. Remain there long enough, and reality itself will begin to bend around your conviction. Doors once closed will open effortlessly. Solutions will appear where none existed. Opportunities will arise unexpectedly, and people will call it luck, coincidence, or fortune. But you will know better. You will know that the change began the moment you changed within. For truly, there is only one power, only one cause, only one reality, consciousness. And when you master your consciousness, you no longer fear the world because you finally understand that the world has always been yourself pushed out. And so, my dear friend, let this truth become the foundation upon which you now stand. You were never meant to live as a servant to circumstance, trembling before probabilities, statistics, or the opinions of the world. You were never designed to wander through life believing that luck chooses some and ignores others. That belief belongs to the old man, the state of consciousness that has forgotten its own creative authority. But now you are being called to remember. Chance has no independent power. What the world calls coincidence is often nothing more than the lawful unfolding of an inner assumption sustained long enough to take visible form. The outer world appears random only to the one who has not yet recognized consciousness as the only cause. But once you understand this law, you begin to see life differently. You no longer fear uncertainty because you realize uncertainty is only the space through which the unseen rearranges itself into visible reality. This is why the state matters more than the mechanism. People become hypnotized by methods. They obsess over techniques, numbers, systems, and strategies, believing the channel itself contains the power. But the channel is only a bridge. The true cause is always consciousness. Whether abundance comes through a lottery, an opportunity, a relationship, an idea, or an unexpected turn of events is irrelevant. The state you occupy determines the outcome. The outer world merely selects the most natural avenue through which your assumption may appear. Therefore, stop worshipping methods and begin embodying identity. Ask yourself not, how will it happen, but who would I be if it already had? That question changes everything. For the moment you inwardly become the one who is secure, supported, abundant, and favored, your entire relationship with life begins to transform. Your reactions change, your expectations change, your energy changes. And because the world is yourself pushed out, the reflection begins to change as well. The old man will resist this transformation. He will whisper of logic, remind you of past failures, and point toward visible limitations. He will insist that you remain loyal to the old identity because that identity feels familiar. But familiarity is not truth, it is only repetition. The old state survives solely because you continue occupying it. Withdraw your attention from it, and it begins to die from lack of nourishment. Do not fight the old state violently. Do not fear doubt when it appears. Simply refuse to build a home there. Let the thoughts pass like shadows crossing the sky. Return gently but persistently to the feeling of fulfillment. Return to the quiet knowing that life supports you, that abundance belongs to you naturally, that your world is reorganizing itself around your new conception of self. And eventually, through persistence, the new state will become effortless. What once felt imagined will begin to feel normal. You will no longer need to force belief because belief will have hardened into identity. You will think differently without trying. You will expect favor naturally. You will walk through life with a calm confidence that does not depend on visible proof. That is the moment the transformation is complete within. And once it is complete within, the outer world cannot delay forever. For reality has no choice but to mirror the dominant state of consciousness. This is law, exact, impersonal, unfailing. The person who consistently identifies with abundance cannot continue experiencing lack indefinitely. The one who inwardly accepts success cannot remain trapped in failure permanently. The world must conform because the world is not separate from consciousness. It is consciousness objectified. So be still now and understand the simplicity of this. You are always serving a state. Every day, every moment, you are inwardly agreeing with an identity. Either you agree with limitation or with expansion. Either you agree with fear or with trust. Either you identify as the overlooked one or as the favored one. And whichever state you consistently return to becomes the script your life performs. Choose deliberately, then remain faithful to your choice. Not through strain, but through quiet conviction. The seed does not struggle to become the tree. It simply remains faithful to its nature. Likewise, your assumption, once accepted, already contains within itself the entire pattern of fulfillment. The bridge of incidents will unfold automatically. Life itself will move people, circumstances, and events into place without your conscious manipulation. And one day you will look back and realize that what seemed impossible began the moment you changed within. The outer world shifted because you shifted. Opportunities appeared because your identity changed. Abundance flowed because you stopped identifying with lack. The miracle was not outside of you. The miracle was the transformation of consciousness itself. So from this moment forward, no longer say, I hope life works in my favor. Instead, know that life mirrors the state you occupy. Become inwardly the one who is already blessed, already secure, already supported, already abundant. Rest there, walk there, sleep there, live there. For consciousness is the only reality. Imagination is the creative power of God within you. And what you faithfully assume, feel, and persist in must, in its appointed hour, become visible fact.